Dead by Midnight. Thursday, March 3rd. I'm writing these entries because I feel this may be my last days. I guess I should have saw this coming, for I've been running from the law for too long. All the killing, robbing, and terrorizing have caught up to me, and now I'm paying the ultimate price. I sit here in the blazing hot sun suffering from gangrene. My knee is bluish-blackish, and the overwhelming feeling of nausea comes and goes like a weasel in a chicken house. I was never a churchgoer, but I do believe in fate. Fate is like your mother, and mother always knows best. I've had more time to think than I've ever had, and I'm certain that my ill fate is the punishment for my miscalculations of life. When you're an outlaw, time doesn't seem to exist, or rather, you don't want it to exist. For an outlaw, time is a rule, and when you want to be an outlaw, you want to be free. I guess I should have spent more attention to the future instead of the present. A man doesn't stay the same forever. He has to change just as the world changes too. I was thinking of that when I joined Dante's posse, a gang of 3 others, Dante, Speck, and Chicho. I never knew their real names. My outlaw name was Boar. I used to be a cattle wrangler, but was fired because of a misunderstanding. They thought I was pawning off cattle for my own benefit. I was fired and met Dante and his gang near the Albertine train station, in between Dodge City and Abilene. I was on my way back to Oklahoma when we got to talking. The rest is history. Dante had ridden the infamous Pony Express. In my opinion, that's where his troubles began, and why he was always had a sour spot for the world. The route went through Lake Tahoe, where the Washoe tribe was. He claims he was shot at multiple times, which I don't doubt he was. Apparently he was shot in the leg and captured. The Washoe would only let him free if they got his right hand cut off. If he did that, he wouldn't have been able to deliver letters no more. But Dante had no choice. When he rolled back, he was fired, and shortly after that he became an outlaw. Dante had us do most of the killing and robbing on account of he didn't have his right hand, or that was the story he presented to us. Some of these incidences I don't lose sleep over, like the many train robberies we did. No one got killed in those. I'll admit I don't see myself as a killer. I never thought we'd be killing as many as we did. I've killed women, but no children. Chicho killed a few, only because they would have narked on us. When Dante gave his word, it was either that or you found yourself pushing up the daisies. None of us would go against Dante, even with his one hand. I don't know, but there was something in his eyes that meant he would find a way to kill us if we went against him. Dante always told us that if we quit, we'd be unwanted anywhere else. We were outlaws, and the only spot for outlaws was in jailhouses. At the time, I believed him. Like I noted before, time gets away from you when you're an outlaw. At some point, our group started to unravel. Dante started to become agitated over little stuff. He had us killing people for no real good reason. We came to a bar one night and the bartender was closing. Instead of just ransacking the place, stealing as much whiskey as we could, Dante ordered us to shoot the poor sap. I was hesitant, so Speck did the nasty deed. The beginning of the end, in my opinion, came for us when we met the gypsies. At first they were trying to sell us some horses. We traded in a few of their stallions, but Chicho fell in love with one of the younger girls named Chloe. So we kidnapped her, much to her objection. Then we soon learned that the stallions were either lame or not gelding. One of them actually died. Dante blamed it on the gypsies and so wanted Chloe to be shot. Chicho, of course, refused. Instead of Dante having us shoot them both, he challenged Chicho to a duel. I gotta put my paper down now. My back aches and I feel like I could blow spew all over the place. The gangrene makes its presence known at the most inconvenient times. In the morning I'll have more to write, and God willing, I'll be able to tell you the outcome of my whole ordeal. Friday, March 4th. I still feel like blowing spew all over the place, but I got enough strength in me right now to pen some more. My memory's a little foggy. If I didn't have yesterday's page to look off of, there'd be no reason to write this. Ah, yes, the duel, or as I like to call it, the beginning of the end for Dante's posse. At the time I thought it was the end because Dante was a horrible shooter with his left. At least that's what he'd gotten us to believe. However, he fooled everyone by shooting a bullet into old Chicho's heart. Poor boy didn't even have time to blink. It got me and Speck wondering why he had us doing all the killing all the time. Now we were thinking Dante was going to go for Chloe next. She clung to me, fearing for her life. Dante didn't do nothing, however. In fact, he looked like he was stumbling, like though he was the one that had been shot. When asked what was the matter, he scolded us, telling us it was none of our business. The killings and the robberies were few and far between after that. It seemed to me and Speck that the fire that had been in Dante's eyes was dimming. At some point, Dante had asked us to take him to the clinic. The doctor had been a small and meek-looking man with a bushy mustache and glasses that would look small on a baby. After a thorough examination, the doctor declared that Dante was suffering from abdomen cancer. When asked how to cure it, the doctor said he didn't know of such a cure. Naturally, Dante had one of us shoot him. This time, Speck rose up against his leader. "Why can't you do it?" he said. "You're pretty good with your left. Why can't you do 'em in?" Dante got off the examination table, straggling and holding his gut with the stump that was his former right hand. In one swift motion, he pulled out his .45 and shot the doc in the heart. Then he shot Speck, but the bullet went to his shoulder. All Speck did was cry out in pain until Dante shot another one that did the nasty deed. He pulled the gun on me and Chloe. "Either of you question my orders again," he rasped. "You'll be eating dinner with the worms next." It was then that I didn't find Dante that formidable anymore. Instead of seeing a headstrong, intimidating leader, all I saw was a broken and battered knockoff. What was next for Dante's posse? I had no idea. My only thought at the time was that we just roamed the country, doing our thing until the cancer did its own nasty deed. Chloe grew more and more affectionate with me. I guess it was because I was the only one that treated her somewhat decent. I didn't order her about the way Chicho had done, and I wasn't unpredictable as old Dante. Then one day something happened that put the final nail in the coffin. It must have been Mother Fate showing us the error of our ways again. I started having severe pain in my right leg, mainly at the kneecap. After a while, I started turning a deep purplish color. Chloe was worried and wanted me to go see the doc. Dante didn't want to waste time with such nonsense. He thought it might be just some infection that would clear up in a week. Well, after a week, it was hurting 10 times worse. Dante went to the bar as I went into the doctor's. That's when I learned about the gangrene. My father had it a long time ago and didn't last more than a month. The doc wanted me to stay in with him for a while, but there was no guarantee that I would make it. The light's getting dimmer again. Even though it's only noon, I will have to pick up next day. It's a good thing I have these 2 bottles of whiskey left. Saturday, March 5th. This may be the last entry of this little old memoir. When this is completed, I'll either be dead or by some grace of God waking up to tell you the ending. The pain is almost unbearable, like someone is sawing my leg off. It's a bit windy out today, too. I can barely keep the paper straight. After learning about the gangrene, me and Chloe joined Dante in the bar. He was bent over the table, hat fallen off and looking grave. There was no color to his face at all. Death was sure waiting on his doorstep then. I told him about my affliction. For some reason, I expected something sincere to come from him. Maybe it was because he had an ill fate as well as me. Instead, he sat up, took one more drink, and said, "This is the end then, kid. One of us has to go." "What do you mean?" I says. His eyes drifted off, like he was remembering something from a long time ago. "Remember when you took your first shot at a man, and you said this one's for you?" I nodded, still not sure where he was going with it. "I'll give you the opportunity to take one more shot for me. Albertoon's train station is not that far from here. I want to meet there in the next 2 days, at midnight. One of us will have their very last duel." Chloe's nails dug into my arm. My voice was lost. "You're a dying man," he went on, "and I'm a dying man. Let one of us be kind and put the other out of their misery." Honestly, at that point in our relationship, I couldn't help but feel pity for the man. It was no contest as far as I was concerned. Looking back on it now, I should have just planted a bullet in him right then. Drawing out the pain for another 2 days was torturing. Still, it was all so surreal. My mind wasn't thinking clearly. The pain was swelling up inside my leg. I could really only rely on Chloe's logic, and that didn't stretch very far. Dante's head hit the table again, and I took that as my cue to leave. Chloe and I rode across the plains toward Albertoon train station. Along the way, we met another group of gypsies. Despite being different, Chloe fit in like a glove. That was where I wanted to leave her. She resisted, but I tried to explain that it was better this way. I never really had an affection for her, always been a loner myself. She gave me a bottle of elixir for my gangrene, and I had that stuff gone before I got here. Now I'm waiting for the clock to strike midnight. Part of me is hoping that Dante won't show. By some grace of God, maybe the cancer had already done the nasty deed. I guess that'll be hoping for too much. God's great, but he wants us to do most of the battles. If he is still alive and makes it in, this may be my last writing. If it is, at least I can say that the last few months, years, or whatever of my life hadn't been completely in vain. I became pretty rich with all those robberies, even though some would frown upon it. I hope there's a spot for me in heaven, because whoever finds my body gets the rest of my earnings. I would say it's around 20,000, give or take. It's enough to start a business, retire on, or give back. Whatever happens to him, I hope that makes that person very happy. Sunday, March 6th. I'm still alive, and what better day to celebrate than on Churchgoers' Day? I know you're probably anxious to hear, so I'll get started. There was no moon out last night. It was so deathly quiet you could hear the crickets breathing. My knee was throbbing, but I could still stand. I stood there waiting at the dock, thinking maybe my hopes had been answered. Maybe the cancer did do the nasty deed after all. Then I heard the clobbering of horseshoes. Around the side of the station strolled in the dark silhouette of Dante and his horse. It was hard to describe the shape Dante was in. He appeared to be slumped over the side, nearly fallen off. I was thinking to myself, this isn't a fair duo. We can't even see each other. My conscience almost told me to call it all off. "Are you there, Boar?" He was shouting, like we were deep in a cave and he was trying to lure me out. His words were slurry like he had been drinking, and his voice sounded like he had shaved his throat with one of his knives. "I'm right here, Dante," I says. "You still want this?" "One of us is getting off easy," he had said. "Do you want to be the lucky one?" "I don't think there's a way either one of us will get off being lucky," I told him. The last thing I heard Dante utter was a chuckle. It was so damn hard to see in the dark. I kept my eyes on the left side of his silhouette, thinking if that'd help any. A shot was fired. It hadn't come from me. I wasn't on the ground, and the only pain was still in my knee. I was surprised that it took me a minute to realize that Dante had missed. I took out my pistol and fired, his best shot I could in the pitch-black dark. At first I had thought I'd missed too, but then I saw Dante's silhouette fold. His legs bent down, and soon after his whole frame was down. I had killed my former boss. Whether it was by some grace of God that I managed to turn out the winner, or by the cruel humor of Mother Fate, I'll never know. As I write this, my knee feels like someone had poured a steaming pot of grease onto it. It makes me think that Dante was the one that got off easy. Then again, he had suffered a long time, and when you're an outlaw, time is an eternity.